Hi, my name is Jasmine and I'm going to tell you about the Elisha Spring and Tel Jericho. First of all, let's talk about Elisha's Spring. Elisha's Spring, also called the Prophet's Fountain and Elisha's Fountain, is a freshwater spring near the archaeological mound of Tel Jericho, where remains of settlement were found dating back to about 8000 BC. Elisha is a venerated prophet in Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, and for this reason, the spring is also called the Prophet's Fountain. Elisha is mentioned in Kings 2, Chapter 2, verses 19 to 22, when the people of Jericho came to Elisha and told him that the city has a good location near water, but it was not good water and could not irrigate the land. Elisha called for a jar or salt, which he then threw into the water, saying that the water was healed and would never again cause death or unfruitful land. From that point on, the water was pure. Today, Elisha Spring lies across the road just east of Tel Jericho or Tel Sultan and about 2 kilometers northwest of the modern city of Jericho. Visitors to Jericho can stand overlooking the spring where it exits the ground near the red-roofed pumping house and look down on the water teeming with fish. The pumping station provides Jericho with water, and small waterways are directed to fields for irrigation. Another viewing point of Elisha Spring is at the side of a pond and fountain fed by the spring under the shade of a fig tree. A beautiful titled sign behind the spring reads Jericho, the oldest city of the world, and Elisha Spring Fountain. This historic passage illustrates spiritual truth found everywhere in Scripture. It employs symbolism, which is ultimately the key to its meaning and application for us today. The symbolism is found in the following. First, the city, which is Jericho. The city had been cursed. Joshua 6:26. Second, the bad water, which caused the land to be unfruitful. Joshua 2:19. Third, a new jar with salt which purified the water. Joshua 2:20 to 21. Now we're heading to Tel Jericho or Tel Sultan or the Mound of Jericho. It is an archaeological site in the West Bank about 10 kilometers north of the Dead Sea and 2 kilometers north of modern-day Jericho. The archaeological excavation of Tel Jericho is on the site of the ancient city of Jericho, inhabited from the 10th millennium BC. It is widely believed to be one of the oldest inhabited cities in the world and the oldest city in Israel. The city grew up around the spring of Sultan. This would have been the city of Jericho mentioned in the Old Testament. The site was inhabited by consecutive settlements, each leaving behind a layer of remains, eventually creating the Mound of Jericho. The city of Jericho stood at the site of Tel Sultan until about the 6th century, when it was conquered and destroyed by the Babylonians. In later years, the city was rebuilt 2 kilometers to the south and became modern day. According to an accepted hypothesis, the city of Jericho is named after the moon cult rituals that was practiced there. The first settlers of Tel Jericho were hunter-gatherer of the late Nafufian culture, more than 11,500 years ago. In the following period, about 11,500 years, pre-ceramic Neolithic era, Jericho was a large village and the most important one found in Israel to date. According to the findings, in Jericho was a walled settlement. This wall was probably used for erosion rather than protection and security. Apparently, the settlement was built over an area of 40 hectares with round houses and guard tower. This tower structure was apparently a ritual tower as it built differently than a proper guard tower around the wall hafir, a large canal designed to provide land for agriculture and water pumping. The wall and tower symbolize just the beginning of Jericho and in the pre-ceramic Neolithic Jericho. There is no trace of the wall and tower. Early Bronze Age Jericho was of economic and military importance. The great advantage was being located in the Jordan Valley. Traders who passed through the Jordan Valley visited Jericho as well. Even in military terms, it was an advantage because the enemy had to pass through the Jordan Valley to reach Jericho and to move to the other cities. According to the book of Joshua, Jericho was the first city conquered by the children of Israel in the entry to Israel. The conquest of the city was told as it was a miracle. The Israelites surrounded the walls of the fortified city once a day for a week. The leaders of this attack were 7 Kohanim, the Jewish priests with the ark, and on the 7th day circled 7 times, blew the trumpet, and cheered. Then the wall fell, and they broke into the city, captured and burned it. Joshua cast a curse on those who build Jericho again. Curse before the Lord be the man who rises up and rebuilds the city Jericho. At the cost his firstborn shall he lay its foundation, and at the cost of his youngest son shall he set up its gates. Joshua 6:26. In the period of Ahab, king of Israel, Jericho was rebuilt, and it was told that the curse of Joshua held. Later, it was indicated that was the seat of the prophets took place in Jericho. We can therefore conclude that since Jericho was built again, there was no ban. Highlights of ancient Jericho found at Tel Jericho. The Neolithic Tower dates back to 8,000 to 7,000 BC, pre-pottery Neolithic age. The tower stands 8 meters tall and has a diameter of 8 meters. The tower was connected to a 4-meter thick wall. The tower is located on the eastern side of the city, probably near the city gate. It has been suggested that the tower was home to the biblical character Rahab, the whore. However, Kenyon concluded from her examination of the site that the city was destroyed in 1556 BC, long before Joshua arrived on the scene. Other experts concluded that all biblical references to Jericho are published and supported by archaeological findings. The Preventment wall, retaining wall, dates back to the Middle Bronze Age, was constructed to support the sides of the mound and prevent erosions. The wall was built with Cyclopean stones and topped with a mud brick wall. Although Celine and Wersing first uncovered the wall in 1907, it was the later excavation in 1997 had revealed the southern portion of the wall. There is archaeological evidence that the mud brick was collapsed at the same point. Experts date the destruction of the wall to 1400 BC, the approximate period of the famous biblical story of Joshua bringing the walls of Jericho down. Further support of the biblical record of events at Jericho came in the form of ancient storage yards dating back to the last Canaanite city of Jericho when Joshua burned the city. As in much of Israel, earthquakes have played a role in the history of Jericho. For example, in 743, during the Umayyad period, Caliph Hisham ibn Abdel el-Malik built his winter palace there. But just 4 years later, a massive earthquake leveled the entire city, and he did not rebuild it, leaving it deserted for centuries. Goodbye! See you for the next video.